Hey guys, everything new under the sun. I'm gonna add this video as kind of the second video for today. I like to take a look at usually the topics are war related and economy related because I believe those are the two big players that end up taking place. Those are certainly the big prophecies that will kick off the 7-year tribulation and kind of the next prophecies to be fulfilled: war and economic collapse, and these usher in the 7-year tribulation. They usher in the world government. They usher in the mark of the beast system. Once these things occur, we'll start talking about the other ones in greater detail. Once we have kind of the milestones and the markers triggered. And this is from the economiccollapseblog.com. This is the economic video, if you will, today. The Dow futures, Dow Jones is up about 200 points, so it looks like there's going to be a bounce on the markets. We'll see. I kind of wonder if the bounce means that as soon as the market's open, it's going to go down to begin with, as people kind of sell out at the highs. But the article here provides interesting insight. Speaking of the evil of the day, I believe the author, he actually is Christian, so he has some what I think are interesting words about kind of a summary of what's happened the last number of weeks. He says, a perfect storm is brewing. It says, we will someday look back on October 2018 as a turning point. As the month began, people were generally feeling pretty good. Stock markets were at all-time high. From that point on, the wheels fell off. We just witnessed the worst October for U.S. stocks since the financial crisis of 2008. And we're heading to a crisis that is far worse than 2008 ever was. 2008 was a kicking of the can. They printed a bunch of money. This is why central banks, and this is the big news in Canada, that the central bank, the Bank of Canada, increased the interest rates. This is the big news that's going on. They're trying to get the interest rates up, and they said it on the radio as I was listening last night, because they're trying to put the bullets that they shot during 2008 back into the gun so they can shoot them again when the next financial trouble hits. And this is what the Bank of Canada's governor said they were trying to do. They're trying to increase rates so that they can get back to a point where if there's another recession or economic trouble, they have some leverage. They can decrease rates again to zero, enough to save the economy from a total economic collapse. And that's why the Federal Reserve is so quickly trying to raise rates to get back to a point where they can then lower it again quickly if they absolutely have to. If they leave it at zero, they have nowhere to go other than negative interest rates. And I've been saying that for, I think last year I had a number of articles on it. I think interest rates will go into the negative before everything completely collapses, and that could be what we'll see in the near future with the next recession or stress in the economy is negative interest rates, actually paying people to take out money. It says it's not just the stock market that's been shaken, and this is where the whole overview of his article comes into focus. The horrific violence in Pittsburgh, the anti-Semitic shooting, is just the latest string of events that have rattled the entire nation of the U.S. Sometimes I feel like I am literally watching the fabric of our society come apart, says the author. There is almost a tangible presence of evil in the air. I believe this is true. In the last days, as we get closer to the return of the Lord and the prophetic events, evil will continue to increase. Christians and Jews will be persecuted. For quite a while, I've been warning about the levels of anger and frustration are rising to unprecedented levels. Let there be no doubt, if the U.S. stocks crash really hard, it will cause a massive credit crunch, and that would absolutely strangle economic activity. That would be a depression. October was bad, but we can recover, he says. But if November and December are equally as bad in terms of volatility, we could have a nightmare crisis on our hands quickly. And I believe we will see some trouble, but I don't think that trouble is going to manifest 100% until maybe the end of the next year or the year after, as we get closer to what I believe is the year 2021 being the start of the 7-year tribulation. And then we do need time for the world government to get set up, the world leader to come into power, and the mark of the beast technology to get in place, all ready for that. It boils down to this: some stocks have gotten crushed, but the market overall has been dented hardly. Though the fundamentals are rotten, so the fundamentals of the stock market are rotten, shares are still ludicrously overpriced. Enthusiasm is still exuberant. So people, even though the debt is unsustainable and the dollar is worth so little because these stocks continue to go up, people still want to be in it, and they're throwing money at the markets. The recent weakness over the past 2 weeks is nothing compared to what's in store. We've been carefully chronicling bubbles burst from the outside in, starting at the weaker places at the periphery before progressing to the center. Emerging market equities are now down 26% from their January highs. China's stock market is down 32%, even with substantial intervention by the government to prop things up. So the government is manipulating the exchange rate and the yuan and manipulating the markets, and still they're having huge trouble. The plunge protection team in the U.S. is having huge troubles, and they're still doing what they can, but they're having huge trouble to keep it to get rid of the volatility, basically. It says, for years, the author says, I've been warning about the thin veneer of civilization that we all take for granted on a daily basis. Violence is increasing. Men will be lovers of themselves, and they will not love anybody else. Love will be lost. The love of many will grow cold, as the Bible speaks of. And that's what we see with this kind of hatred, these shootings. He says, I'll never be able to understand the kind of hate we've been witnessing. I always preach against racism. I even include an entire chapter in my racism in my latest book. The author says, we are facing overwhelming challenges as a society. And this is what this author sees coming, and this is exactly right. This is what Bible prophecies, what the Bible has said was coming upon the world. The love of many will grow cold because there's just so much evil and violence. People are going to get accustomed to it. They're not even going to think about it twice anymore. They're just going to become so scarred that they will just start ignoring it, and that's going to only cause it to get worse as they ignore it and just get complacent about it and sort of give up on society and give up on others. And this is what's coming upon the world, and this is what the Bible describes as the last day. It's going to be almost a world without love, almost a hell on earth, if you will, because hell is the absolute lack of love. It's devoid of love, hell is. So earth will be heading that way anyways. It's never going to be hell, but it's going to be heading that way until God decides that's it. There's so much evil. Every thought of man is continually evil on this planet. I'm going to destroy it again. He destroyed it once with the flood. He's going to destroy it again. But we're going to go through some hard times. We're going to go through an economic collapse, number one. Then we're going to go through war. And then we're going to go through a one-world government and a mark of the beast system with a one-world leader. And then we're going to go through, well, Christians may or may not be here, but the world will go through a situation where a third temple is set up in Israel. And then it's desolated in the middle of the 7-year tribulation. And then God comes back and deals with the world. Well, guys, that's what's happening with the economy. We'll see how the markets go today. But I think every day we get closer to a total economic collapse. Central banks are doing everything they can to kind of put bullets back into their guns because they know something's coming soon. And that's why they're raising interest rates as fast as they can right now to try and get ahead of it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll leave it there. We'll see you guys in the next video.